Hi everyone, it's Kelly from the Hub, here today with our new friend Roberta from the WellSpan Health system. She is the person that in the whole WellSpan Health system does all of the horizon planning. We met her last week. Hello there, my friend, how are you?
I'm very well, Kelly. How are you? And thank you again. This is a great fun to have these conversations.
I'm so glad. This is one of those things, and we said this last week, and we'll probably say this every single week. No one wants to have this conversation. No one is looking forward to the end of life, but it will show up. So it's better to be prepared and thoughtful and open about it when you can, rather than
do it when you're not in crisis.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing, Kelly.
Yeah.
Too many people put this off until it's too late and they're in crisis and emotional and watching somebody die that they love very much and then trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And it's so much better to know that ahead of time, through conversations mostly, but also through these written documents that are legal documents that can represent your wishes.
So today's topic is your last will and testament, which sounds so final, and it is, but what is it? Do I really need one? And how do I get it?
Well, and here's the thing, Kelly, you're my perfect foil today, so I'm so sorry to do this to you. Okay. I had to do this to a staff person yesterday, but there are two documents. And so what people often think is what you just said. Oh, I have a last will and testament, so what else do I need?
Yeah.
So a last will and testament is different than a living will. And a living will is what you want for your medical treatments when you get to the end of life.
Your will is just about like your estate and stuff, right?
So a last will and testament, what is that?
Yeah.
So that is who gets grandma's shotgun? Who gets grandpa's silverware?
Right.
Who gets the house, the cat, the dog, the bank account, the investments, if there are any, the swing set in the back. That's property.
Okay.
And a last will and testament is very good to have an attorney help you with, because you're really thinking about, who in my family am I going to provide these things that are my memories and things I hold dear? How do I make sure there's whatever treatment for whoever I love? And who's going to represent me? So that's a durable power of attorney for finance.
Okay.
So many times people say, well, I have a durable power of attorney, but it's a durable power of attorney for finance. It's the person who will write your checks, pay your bills when you're not really able to do that, manage your bank account, dispose of your property after you're gone. And it's not done after you're gone. This is a document you want to write as soon as you can, because again, we never know when our time is up.
Yep.
We can't predict that. Could be from a car accident tomorrow. It could be from a heart attack 10 years from now. It could be from the fact that you're 120 and that heart and lungs have just said, I've pumped enough. I'm going to go now.
Right.
You're going to have to come with me.
That's right. Yeah.
So oftentimes we will get a last will and testament. And here's the problem that we find. Because a living will is a different document, some attorneys are trying to combine them and make it simple. But simple is not best. So they will often bury, like on page 5, 2 short paragraphs about your medical options, not giving us clear instruction, but just saying my durable power of attorney for finance can also get my medical records, can also make decisions about medical treatments, but that's all it says. And so your durable power of attorney for finance still doesn't have a clue what they're supposed to do for you.
Right. And you might want that to be a different person.
Right. And oftentimes you do. I often say when I do a presentation, I'm not sure I want the person who decides about my money to be also the person who decides whether or not the machine is plugged in or not. So I don't know, you might trust them. I'd be a little.
That seems like it's a bit of a conflict of interest. Yeah.
A little.
Yeah.
And some people in our family, we can see automatically, yes, we could trust them that far. But then there
Right.
are others who,
Right.
you know,
No.
maybe
Right.
not so much. But the other problem is if it's buried in this document, we have to scan the entire document. So now you're in a crisis. Your doctor, who's dealing with that crisis in the emergency room, is having to flip through pages to find where's the section that the living will part is in.
Oh.
So not doing it as part of a last will and testament, but actually creating a living will, which is a different document, is the
Okay.
best thing to do. And a living will, you do not in Pennsylvania need an attorney. So that's a combination of an attorney and a notary.
Of course.
You don't need an attorney or a notary in Pennsylvania to complete your living will.
Huh.
The only thing you need are two witnesses. And so what's in a living will? A living will is the document that says, here's what I understand about life support. I understand that life support means I could be provided with cardio resuscitation, CPR.
Yep.
I might not, because I might not want that because I understand the consequences of getting CPR in certain situations.
Yeah.
I understand that it also involves being fed by a tube that's either inserted in your stomach or some other way that you're fed other than by mouth. You may or may not want that, but that's part of life support. Life support is also being intubated and being put on a ventilator, which is the machine that helps your lungs function. And for people with serious cases of COVID-19, making that decision about being put on a ventilator or not is a very, very important decision. So
Yep.
that's why these documents right now, we're finding throughout the country that people are getting more and more interested in what their advanced directives are. And a living will is one of the two documents that create your advanced directives. And it's probably the most important because then it will say, here's what I understand about life support. Do I want antibiotics? Do I want to be taken to the hospital or not? Then making choices about what you do or don't want, and then thinking about 4 different situations that truly are end of life. So some people think if they give us a living will, it means anytime they come in, we're going to use that living will. That's not the case. This is a document that's for future care, Kelly. It's only at the point where you truly are in an end of life situation and there are 2 physicians who have said, there's nothing more we can do. You're not going to survive very long. And if you do survive, you're not going to be yourself.
Right.
So it's something where you're close to death, either because of a terminal illness or because of age, or because of a serious, serious accident. That you're in a coma, but not just that you're in a coma, that you're in a coma with permanent and severe brain damage. So it's those 2 combination of things where you're not going to recover, you're not going to wake up. They wouldn't expect, a miracle in this kind of situation, or
Right.
it's not an induced coma that they will work to bring you out of because
Right.
they're trying to let your body rest and heal for a while.
Yeah.
This is truly an end of life coma. The third one is permanent brain damage, where you may have your eyes open, but you don't really recognize anyone. You're not speaking to anyone. You can't process information. We could keep you alive. We could keep your body alive, but as a person, you're not going to have any quality of life. And then your family will suffer by watching you in that condition. Then the fourth one is other conditions where I myself have said, I don't want life support. I don't want aggressive treatment to keep me alive. So for instance, my husband had pancreatic cancer at age 50. By the time he was 51, they gave him a couple of months to live. And so we tried some clinical trials. But then about 4 weeks before he died, he was told, There's nothing more we can do. You've crashed out of everything. There's nothing, your body just cannot handle anything. We're going to recommend hospice at home, which is what we did. But then in those 3 weeks, he said, as soon as my children are here and my mother and brothers are here and I get a chance to say goodbye, then I don't want anything extraordinary. So if I have another pulmonary embolism, if I have a heart attack, just don't bring me back. I just want to have the time to say goodbye, but then after that. So that was his condition.
Yeah.
For me, it would be a severe stroke. If I had a severe stroke and I wasn't able to dance in my kitchen or play with my great-grandchildren, or for me, have a glass of red wine every night to fulfill my Italian heritage, as we've talked about,
Yep.
then that's my condition.
Yeah.
And so there are living wills that are 2 pages. The document that we love is called the 5 Wishes. And in that document, there are 2 pages that create your living will. And then you fill out that paper, but then you say to your family, here's what this means to me. I can choose full treatment, full life support. I can choose no treatment, so no life support. I want to die comfortably at home. I want to die under my own terms. I don't want to be hooked up to a machine. I don't want to be in the ICU. Or I want limited treatment. So I want treatment to the point where my physician says, there's no other hope. We're going to try this and see if it'll work. But if it doesn't work, then that's the end. So you have those 3 options always in your living will, and you can always change it. So if I filled out one today and tomorrow I got new information, or a loved one died and I'd learned something more about death and dying, I could change it tomorrow. I could change it the next day. And you really should change your living will. We have 6 Ds. So we talk about every decade birthday, you should review it.
Huh.
If you have a death of a loved one, anytime we have someone die, we learn something from that. We learn either it was a really good death or it was a really horrible, conflictual, painful death. And so we add those things to our living wills as we learn that. The 3rd D, if you get diagnosed with a serious illness, you should reconsider and how that illness progresses. If you get diagnosed with a disability, 4th, if you get discharged from the hospital, again, if you're in the hospital for some serious illness, you're going to want to go back to your living will. Make sure it's correct. Make sure your durable power of attorney is still the person, and we suggest more than one, are still the people that you want, and they actually know what it is you want. You've had another conversation with them. And then as one staff person told me after a presentation, she said, Roberta, I recently got divorced and I didn't think about my durable power of attorney for healthcare. Oops, I need to go because I don't think I want my ex to be the person to pull the plug. And yeah,
right. And
so divorce is one of our Ds now.
Yeah, if you didn't think about that part of your life, then that becomes pretty challenging at that moment. Right?
Yeah,
and it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really am beginning to think I should add a 7th D, which is dementia, Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yeah.
Because when you're first experiencing this disease, you want to make sure that your living will expresses your wishes, because after you are fully engaged with dementia or Alzheimer's, no one can create a living will for you.
Right.
And if you do not have a durable power of attorney for healthcare, that person also can help in determining what treatments you should have. Your providers have to do full aggressive treatment, which you may not have wanted. So these documents are very important.
And the way that disease progresses or doesn't, because of that bizarre way that like dementia can progress, you could suffer for 10 years or more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you may not
be able to change anything, not be able to do anything because your wishes you can't like express that. Yeah.
Right. Right. And some people think, well, anybody can change my living will. That's not the case. The case is once it's there, you can say to your durable power of attorney, I'm going to give you all the authority in the world to change my mind for me when I'm not able to speak for myself.
Yeah.
So these things only go into effect when you're not able to tell us exactly what you want.
Mm.
When you are incapacitated or not able to communicate your own wishes, then your durable power of attorney for healthcare and your living will are what we consult to make the decisions about your care. And we use those only when somebody is in an end-of-life crisis and are not expected to recover.
That's super good to know. Can we access some of these documents and some of this information on the WellSpan site?
Well, actually, you can get them. That's the other thing that's a barrier for people. They don't know where to find these documents and whether or not they need to pay for them. So thank
Good.
you for that, Kelly.
You're welcome.
You can go to wellspan.org, put in Horizon Planning or Advanced Care Planning, and there is a form on our website where you can order as many packets of information as you want. If you're a WellSpan patient, you can get one from the My WellSpan portal. On the My WellSpan portal, there's a Horizon Planning section. And again, there's a form where you can order the documents. Right now, we just have the documents in paper form. But in the next couple of weeks, I'm working on getting an electronic version. And so we'll begin probably later this year to have an electronic version in both places as well. But you don't need our documents, our 5 wishes, which we love. It's a document that's created by a company called Aging with Dignity out of Florida. And it's a document that's legal in 44 states in the District of Columbia. You can get a document from the state of Pennsylvania by going to the State Department of Health on the website. You can get one from UPMC. They have their own document. Penn Medicine has their own document. Penn State Health has their own document that they've created. Or you can just put Advanced Directive in the Google search on your browser, and you'll get all kinds of websites that'll give you free documents that are legal in your state. Each state has a little bit different. I wish we'd make this one national standard because it would be better. But again, you don't need an attorney or a notary for these. You just need to have 2 witnesses that are not your durable power of attorney for finance or for healthcare.
Since you just brought it up, let me ask this other question. So I live in Pennsylvania and I do my living will, and then I move to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget to change it because I got a lot of stuff going on and then something happens. What about my living will that's from Ohio? Or I'm sorry, that's from
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So if you're traveling, your living will travels with you as your legal document. Okay. So if you are traveling to Minnesota, I always suggest that people put a copy of their advance directives in their suitcase and put a copy of it in their car. So that it's readily available. Because if you end up in a hospital you're not used to, they can search for your documents through your home practice, but if you have one readily available, it's better. But if you move to another state, just like you have to change your driver's license, you want to change your living will to meet the standards for that state. Again, if it's the 5 wishes, because the 5 wishes is acceptable in 44 states. If Minnesota is one of those states, it's a perfectly good document in Minnesota, unless Minnesota is one of those states that requires a notary, which I don't believe it is. There's 4 states that require a notary, but then you just go and fill out page 10 again, have a notary witness it for you, and the rest of the document is fine.
Good. Because there might be people who have done their living will and have moved and forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that's very good information to know that you just, check into it.
Well, and snowbirds. So snowbirds that spend
Yes.
6 months here and 6 months in Florida or 6 months in Arizona, you want to have a document that fits your state for the time that you're there, if you have a permanent residence there. If you're just visiting, your legal document is the document where you reside for the majority of your time.
That's good information.
Yeah. So you always want to have both documents if you reside in 2 different places. Some people have a house at the beach.
Yeah,
So for the house at the beach.
yeah, it could be the same document if that state recognizes that document to be legal. It could be a just a different version of that same document to make it fit with those state standards.
Yeah, and you can fill out the second one the same way you have the first one so that they match.
Yeah,
You just take the first one and fill out the new form if they have their own dedicated form. But it's one of the reasons, again, why we like the 5 Wishes document, because they've done the work to have it accepted and legal in all of those states and the District of Columbia. And it is so simple to fill out. It's in everyday language. It's not legal speak.
good.
And it tells all of the details that you would want your provider to know and your family to know to be able to make decisions.
That's why we do this series, to make it
Yes.
easy and accessible for all of the stuff we're talking about. So beautiful. 5 Wishes it is. That's how we do this thing called a living will. That's
How we do it at WellSpan.
That's
So,
right.
yep, absolutely. And
Perfect.
we want everybody. It doesn't matter to us who your provider is.
Right.
We want everybody in the community. So when I do community presentations again, I'm doing many by Zoom now. We have several set up in Lebanon County, Adams County, York County.
Oh, good.
Do Zoom presentations, and then I make sure the packets are given to the participants in a different way. But this is so important, so critically important for everybody, and particularly now with COVID-19. We want to make sure that as people end up in the hospital intubated because they're having difficulty breathing, that if they want to be on a ventilator or not, that's an important decision to make.
This is wonderful. Don't forget that Roberta is going to be with us in a series, so we have lots of things to talk about and learn. As always, thank you, my friend. Good
Thank you,
to chat
Kelly.
with you.
This is great. Thank you to all your people who watch too.
Absolutely. And if you have questions, feel free, toss them in the comments. We will always ask, whatever you need, and the more you can learn, the better it is.
Yeah, we're here to help.
Right.
Everybody have a wonderful holiday.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the Labor Day long weekend. Be
See you,
safe.
everyone.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.